The Morrison family had owned the Crossroads Inn for 3 generations. Nestled in rural Pennsylvania, the bed and breakfast had weathered the Depression, 2 world wars, and the digital age. But nothing had tested it quite like the 2024 election season. Tom Morrison, 62, sat at the breakfast table polishing silverware, Fox News murmuring from the kitchen TV. His daughter Sarah, 34, was in the dining room updating the inn's social media, NPR podcasts playing through her earbuds. They hadn't spoken about anything substantial in weeks. "Morning," Tom grunted as Sarah passed through for coffee. "Morning, Dad." It wasn't always like this. Sarah had grown up helping her father renovate rooms, listening to his stories about every guest who'd stayed there. But somewhere between her college years and her return home after her divorce, a chasm had opened between them, one that widened with every election cycle. The trouble started when Tom put up a campaign sign in the inn's front yard. "Dad, you can't do that," Sarah said, staring out the window at the bold red letters. "We'll lose half our customers. It's my property. I can support who I want. It's our business. I work here too, remember?" Tom's jaw tightened. "Barely. You spend more time on that phone than actually helping." The words stung because they weren't entirely untrue. But Sarah's marketing had increased their bookings by 40%. She just did it differently than he understood. Their mother, Linda, had been the bridge between them. She'd passed 2 years ago from cancer, taking with her the diplomatic grace that had kept the family's disagreements from becoming wars. Now Tom and Sarah circled each other like wary opponents. The real explosion came on a Friday evening. The Hendersons, a retired couple from Ohio, were checking out when Mr. Henderson noticed the sign. "Good to see someone with sense around here," he said, shaking Tom's hand vigorously. Mrs. Henderson smiled. "So refreshing after all the nonsense on the coasts." Sarah, who had been standing at the desk, felt her face flush. "We welcome all guests here, regardless of political affiliation," she said pointedly. "Of course, sweetheart," Mrs. Henderson said with a patronizing pat on Sarah's arm. "You'll understand when you're older." After they left, Sarah turned to her father. "I'm 34 years old, Dad, and I'm tired of biting my tongue." "Then don't work here." The words hung in the air like gunsmoke. "Maybe I won't," Sarah said quietly. That night, she typed up a resignation letter. But as she sat in her childhood bedroom, still decorated with ribbons from the county fair and photos of her with her parents, she couldn't bring herself to print it. The next morning, a young couple arrived for their weekend reservation. The Nguyens were celebrating their 5th anniversary, and Sarah had personally arranged for flowers in their room and a dinner reservation at the best restaurant in town. Over breakfast, Mrs. Nguyen mentioned they'd almost cancelled. "Why?" Tom asked, confused. The Nguyens were model guests. "Well," she said delicately, "the sign. My parents came here as refugees. When we see certain rhetoric about immigrants..." She trailed off, but Tom understood. He glanced at Sarah, who was staring intently at her coffee cup. After the Nguyens left for their day trip, Tom took down the sign. Sarah found him in the yard, holding the wooden stake. "Dad? Your mother wouldn't have wanted this," he said gruffly. "Losing customers over politics, making people feel unwelcome." It wasn't an apology, but it was something. "I'm not leaving," Sarah said. "This place, it's all I have left of Mom." Tom nodded. "Me too." They stood in awkward silence until Tom spoke again. "I don't understand your politics, Sarah. I don't understand half of what you believe in. But I know you're smart. You got your mother's brains and, God help me, my stubbornness." Sarah laughed, despite herself. "That's a terrible combination. Hasn't done us too bad. 3 generations, remember?" That evening, they sat down together. Really sat down. For the first time in months. They didn't solve anything. Tom still thought Sarah was naive about economics. Sarah still thought her father watched too much cable news. But they agreed on one thing. The Crossroads Inn had always been a place where people from different worlds could find common ground, even if just for a night. "Mom used to say the inn was like America in miniature," Sarah said. She also said family was more important than being right, Tom added. They created new house rules, no political signs, no campaign materials, and Sunday dinners were a politics-free zone. They wouldn't agree, but they'd coexist, sometimes tensely, sometimes peacefully, but always as family.